According to Mike Garafolo of NFL Network, he thinks that there is a 76.9% chance that the New York Giants select a quarterback in round 1 of the 2024 NFL Draft. You're watching Giants Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Marshall Green. I think that Mike Garafolo was maybe trying to be a little bit funny when he said this, but I also think that he almost said too much and then had to walk it back when he said this quote, "The Giants are a team that is trying or taking the temperature to see what the price would be to move up." He wanted to say the Giants are a team that is trying to move up, but he caught himself and said, or taking the temperature to see what the price would be to move up. So I believe that this is a big-time story that all Giants fans should be following. One, because Mike Garafolo is one of the most trusted inside the NFL people in the league. Two, he is very connected with the New York Giants. I think there's only one guy, or of the two guys, there's only one guy that is bigger and I would say more credible than when he speaks about the Giants. And that is Jay Glazer. You got Jay Glazer, number one. You got Mike Garafolo, two. Why? Because he was a New York Giants beat reporter for 8 seasons. He has connections in the building. He still has reference points there. And he is not going to speak on something unless he has heard it from someone else. I believe Mike Garafolo has heard that the Giants are very interested in selecting a quarterback in the first round of the draft. And also, Joe Schoen at the NFL Pro Combine today said that we are going to look at all positions in the first round of the NFL draft. So you have Garafolo saying that the Giants are at least talking or thinking or testing to see what the temperature is with a 70+% chance to move up. Joe Schoen has told you that we are going to look at all positions. Jordan Renan of ESPN yesterday said that if the opportunity, the right opportunity presents itself, the Giants would be very interested in moving up the draft board. And then we also have this from Ryan Fowler of the NFL Draft Network, someone that is very connected in the whole process of the NFL draft. Says sources, LSU QB Jayden Daniels has formal meetings scheduled with Giants, Vikings, Saints, and Patriots this evening. Daniels will also meet with the Washington Commanders on Wednesday. I understand that this does not mean the Giants are going to select Jayden Daniels, but they are doing their due diligence on one of the top quarterbacks in this draft, and I can promise you, they are going to meet with Drake Maye. They are going to meet with Caleb Williams. They're going to meet with J.J. McCarthy, Michael Penix. They are going to meet with all of those guys. I also wanted to bring up this quote from Art Stapleton. In my opinion, one of the most trusted and level-headed beat reporters that covers this team. He said, if the Giants go through their process and identify a quarterback who can lift them higher than they believe Jones can, circumstances being what they are, the belief here is that Joe Schoen will have the green light to make the call and trade up and select a quarterback. But it's not just Art Stapleton. Benjamin Albright, another really trusted inside the NFL guy, said this yesterday on Twitter. Last, if I had to guess today, prior to the combine starting, one, he thinks Caleb Williams is going to be drafted. He thinks Jayden Daniels is going number 2. He thinks New England Patriots trade out. He thinks Arizona will select Marvin Harrison Jr., and he also thinks the Los Angeles Chargers are going to trade out. Then Jeff Schwartz, former offensive lineman in the National Football League, said, well, then who is trading up? And Albright responded, there's a few candidates. And the first one he mentioned, the New York Giants. But it's not just Albright. It's not just Renan. It's not just Joe Schoen. It's not just Mike Garafolo. Also, Cam Marino, who covers the NFL, says, I don't know the legitimacy of Chicago wanting out of the first pick, but the team I'm watching for a potential big move up to 1 is the New York Giants, not the Falcons. The Giants have been monitoring the move-up market since the middle of January. I believe they want a QB of the future. The Giants have been monitoring the move-up market since the middle of January. Steve, can we go back to that big L3 of the Mike Garafolo quote? Because I just want to say this. If Cam Marino is saying the Giants have been monitoring the move-up market since the middle of January, and then Mike Garafolo says the Giants are a team that is trying to, or taking the temperature to see what the price would be to move up. If you do not believe that Joe Schoen is working the phones to see what the price would be to move up in the NFL draft, you're just wrong, because there are too many people saying it. Where there is smoke, there is fire. I believe the Giants are interested in drafting a quarterback if the right guy is on the board. Do you think it happens, though? Predict it for me down in the comment section. Do the Giants pick a quarterback in round 1? Type Y for yes, type N for no. I want to hear from you guys down in the comment section. I also thought something else was very interesting, and it stuck out to me when I went back and watched the full Joe Schoen combine interview. He said it's a good QB class, but not just at the top. Whether he's talking about McCarthy or Nix or maybe a guy like Michael Penix or some of the other guys on day 2 and day 3 of the NFL draft. They are going to do their due diligence on this. And I also thought what Brandon Beane at the NFL Combine, former Bills GM, was very interested. As we know, Joe Schoen worked with Brandon Beane. He was the assistant general manager. And Brandon Beane was asked about trading up for Josh Allen. He said a couple years ago. But he said this today. I mean, we got criticized a little bit for how much we gave up for Josh. And I'm like, well, if he doesn't work out, I'm not going to be here anyway. And if he does work out, nobody is going to give a shit. Joe Schoen was on that staff. Joe Schoen has said Brandon Beane is his mentor. I'll let you do with that information as you will. This is my take on the whole situation. If the New York Giants, if Joe Schoen, if they have identified any quarterback in this class as the face of a franchise, as a franchise quarterback, as a guy that could elevate this franchise, Joe Schoen should be doing whatever it takes to move up in the draft to select that guy. Because in the NFL, in 2024, you are only as good as your quarterback. And the guy that's on this team right now, there's a lot of question marks about how good he is. But I'll play a little yin to my yang right here. On the other hand, building up the roster and drafting a QB next year or even the year after, when the Daniel Jones contract is completely off the books, it does make sense. And I understand why some people want to go that route. They want to have a rookie contract for a quarterback of 5 years while Daniel Jones is not hurting the salary cap. He's on the books this year. He's going to be on this team. Next year, he'll have a dead cap hit of $22 million if he's not. So I understand why some people would want to wait. But for me, I think I made it clear. If you've identified a guy, go and get him, and let's go to work. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel. We're going to be live for NFL free agency. We're going to be live for the NFL draft, and we are your one-stop shop on YouTube for everything New York Giants. We are the only Giants channel on YouTube at the NFL Combine. We gave you a free, full video press conference of Joe Schoen. Nobody else on YouTube had that, so subscribe and turn the notifications on. Coming up next, I want to break down what Joe Schoen had to say about Daniel Jones and his sort of rehab process and where he is and where he may be coming up this spring. We'll do that around the corner. But first, I got to give a huge shout out to today's sponsor, Game Time. Use the promo code GIANTSCHAT and get $20 off your first purchase when you buy tickets using the app Game Time. Game Time is the best app where you get the best seats for the lowest prices guaranteed. Prices drop as the events get closer, and someone like me who's a procrastinator and I don't want to spend money until I absolutely have to, this is my go-to app to buy tickets. And if you use that promo code GIANTSCHAT, you're going to get $20 off. Another feature I love about Game Time is they have these flash deals, and prices of the events drop as they get closer. So they will send you push notifications when they have verified that a ticket that is selling right now is at the best price and best value that is going to be. I actually appreciate that. I also love that you get to see the view of the seat, view of the stage, venue, concert stage, or whatever from the seat you want to buy. Check them out. It's the only way I buy tickets now. Download the Game Time app and use that promo code GIANTSCHAT. So Joe Schoen at his press conference at the NFL Combine said Daniel Jones is on pace for training camp. That would be a really quick turnaround, and I'm not going to doubt Daniel Jones because I know how hard of a worker he is. You talk to people inside the building. I've talked to a couple players. Nobody beats Jones to the building, and nobody is there after he is there. But I still think being ready for training camp is probably a little bit, I would say, overzealous. I don't know if it's going to be true. You look at what other quarterbacks' ACL recovery timetable is. Kyler Murray didn't return to action after tearing his ACL in Week 14 until Week 10. Joe Burrow tore his in Week 11. He was back in Week 1. That's a timeline DJ's probably trying to follow. It took a whole calendar year pretty much for Garafolo. Deshaun Watson tore his in Week 9. Jones tore his in Week 9, so I'm sure he'll try to follow that timeline. And Carson Wentz, he turned it around quicker than quicker than just about anybody. So it is possible, no doubt about it. I also thought it was interesting, and as he said all offseason long, I have faith in Daniel Jones as our starting core QB, is what Joe Schoen said. And I tweeted out on Twitter, I just feel like Joe Schoen has I don't like the way he's been speaking recently. And maybe it's just because this team stunk and I'm being a pessimistic person. And that's kind of what I am. But can we stop bringing up the Minnesota Vikings game? Please. Joe Schoen was asked, do you got to go get one of those guys? When he talked, someone said, did you look at all the great quarterbacks last year in the playoffs? Talking about Mahomes and Josh Allen and all those guys. And Joe was like, well, we got one of those guys in our building who did it a year ago against Minnesota on the road, and he's young. And I'm like, come on. A broken clock is right twice a day. Joe Schoen knows down to his core and his football IQ, everything he's done, everything he's learned to get to this position. He knows that you cannot win a Super Bowl with Daniel Jones. So I feel like he's just he's saying what he has to say. Someone said it back to me on Twitter. What do you want him to say? Go out on the stage and say he sucks? No. But at the end of the day, you don't want teams to know you're trading up. You're playing a little game of poker. But I truly believe that Joe Schoen is one of the smartest GMs in this league. There's no way that someone that smart actually believes Daniel Jones could be that guy. He also said this, which makes me believe what I said even more. The fact of the matter is, it's 2 injuries in 3 years. He is not willing to risk his professional career in the National Football League hanging on to Daniel Jones, who can barely hang on to being healthy. The Giants, they cannot just run it back with Daniel Jones. There's no way you can do that. And it's not because he's a guy that is an average to below average quarterback. The facts are the facts. Joe Schoen said it. He has played 1 healthy season in the last 4 years. 2 serious neck injuries. Now a torn ACL. And on top of that, he's not a difference maker. He really is. Can he win you games? Yes, he did it in the playoffs. But let's remember, that Minnesota Vikings defensive coordinator, he was fired immediately after the season, and he has not had a job in the NFL for over 16 months. They were the worst defense in the NFL. Not just pass defense, the entire defense. I applaud him for what he did. He made big-time plays on a big-time stage. But at the end of the day, I don't believe that he can win a Super Bowl. And why am I wasting my time and letting him occupy a chair when I could fill that with somebody else that might be able to do that? It's time to move on. What's your confidence level in Daniel Jones? I know people are going to be like, Marshall, you hate Daniel Jones. I don't know Daniel Jones. I just want my quarterback to be better. I bet he's a really cool guy, and I bet we could crush some beers together. Just not a QB that can lead a franchise to the top of the mountain. Scale 1 to 10, your confidence in Jones. Make sure you're following me over on Twitter and Instagram. I'm going to be posting exclusive NFL Combine content on my social media. So hit me up over there so you don't miss a thing. Let's go Big Blue.